Hi dear children, hope you are all well actually. How are you today? What was your breakfast? It was nice I think. Okay, I'm also fine. We'll continue with the lesson now. Okay. Where we have stopped the other day when he went to the doctor had a discussion with the mother after looking at his mouth and his nose, and then the doctor made the child to go for the treatment. A nurse entered and the doctor started doing something on his mouth. The boy was asked to open his mouth, and first he was frightened, but later he opened his mouth as a look like a fool, isn't it? Now let's continue. I'm going to read it, okay? The tiny blade disappeared and went high up into the roof of my mouth. The doctor gave the blade 4 or 5 very quick little twists, and then next moment a whole lot of blood and flesh came tumbling out into the basin. Now listen, what was the thing? The doctor put that tiny blade into his mouth. Then 2 or 3 times, sometimes the blade turned in a sudden and stopped it. For some time it happened 4 or 5 times the blade twisted in his mouth. In a sudden, from his mouth some blood and flesh, the pieces of meat came out into the basin which was kept near to his chin. Isn't it? There was a basin kept near to his chin. Into that it will fall down. And then I was horrified. What is the meaning of, horrified. What is the meaning of horrified? Horrified means greatly shocked or frightened, tensed, too much upset. The meaning is very clearly given here. Listen and note the meaning and the spelling also. Please be very sure about the spelling also. By the huge red lumps that had fallen out of my mouth, and too shocked to do anything but yet out a yell. Yelp means a cry of pain. Okay, what is the spelling of yelp actually? Y-E-L-P-S. Okay, now the boy was really shocked that in a sudden he couldn't do anything other than making a big cry. He was really frightened. Something came out of his mouth and he could see that it was meat, it was some flesh and blood actually. He didn't understand what the doctor is doing. He thought the doctor was going to harm him. Was it really like that? Never actually. The doctor is doing something as a treatment. The doctor knows very well that he is going with his treatment, and he knows very well what to do with the throat and the nose. What is the problem? What is the treatment? All those things are very clearly known to the doctor. Now let us see what is going to happen. I thought the doctor had cut off the middle of my head. That was the main problem. The little boy thought that the doctor cut the middle of his head actually. He cut the portion of a head. That's what the little child thought. And he was really frightened also. The doctor simply said, those were your adenoids. The doctor said, those were your adenoids. That was a problem in your throat actually. I didn't harm your body. There was a problem in your throat, and that growth was taken away by me in a sudden. That's all what happened. The doctor said so to the small child. Will he understand it? Maybe or may not, because he is only 8 years now. Small child. So he may not understand it very well, but he will understand something. I sat there breathing hard. The roof of my mouth seemed to be on fire. I grabbed my mother's hand, held it tightly. Even then, the boy was not at all happy actually. He was frightened even now. He didn't understand what the doctor did. And he was opening his mouth, and then he was breathing very hard, taking hard breath, long breath actually, which showed that he was really tensed or upset, frightened. And he was holding his mother's hand very tightly to show that he needed support. He was trusting only his mother. He could not even trust the doctor, because the doctor did something and in a sudden some blood and flesh came from his mouth. Can he imagine what the doctor did in his mouth? He thought that a portion of his head was cut by the blade. Something was cut now inside. He didn't understand what happened. So he was really afraid actually. It seemed to be on fire. The roof of my mouth seemed to be on fire. Means he was having such a very bad pain on the roof of his mouth. Stay where you are, the doctor said. You will be all right in a minute. Now the doctor asked the boy to stay in the same position, and he said that he will be all right in a minute. Because the doctor knows it very well how the treatment is, and he knows how long will it take the boy to cure. I was still dripping blood from my mouth into the bowl which the nurse was holding. Spit it all out, she said. There's a good boy. Then the nurse wiped my lips and washed my face. They lifted me out of the chair and stood me on my feet. I felt very shaky. Now listen. For a minute, because the boy was really scared, no, he didn't move from the space. He just was lying on the chair without even moving his fingers, hands on those things. He was really afraid. And then for some time the blood was coming from his mouth into the bowl, and the nurse was assisting him to keep the blood into the bowl only. And after some time the nurse asked him to spit everything into the bowl. Now we can be sure that the treatment is almost over, okay? It will be almost over now. Now the boy was asked to spit everything into the bowl. The boy did so. And then the nurse said, of course you are a good boy. The nurse was very happy that he was not troubling the doctor. He was not making any problem. When he was asked to stay still, he did it so. And then when he was asked to spit also, he was not disagreeing with it. He spit it. When the nurse wiped, after making all those things, the nurse wiped his mouth because blood was coming from this way, and she wiped it and wiped the face also. And after that, he was taken and was asked to stand up. He was kept on the floor. But when he was standing on the floor, he was not able to stand very clearly. Why? He was shivering actually because of fear maybe. And my mother took my hand, and we walked the full half hour it took to reach home. No trolley car. Okay, we'll go with the next paragraph, dear children. My mother took my hand and we walked the full half hour it took to reach home. No trolley car or taxi for me. Trolley car. What is the spelling of the word? T-R-O-L-L-E-Y. Trolley car. What is the meaning of trolley car? That is very clearly given here. It is what we will say, a vehicle which is moved with a manual power, not with an engine power. Yes, the same thing which you might have seen. I am giving the picture of a trolley car here also in the screen. You can understand it very easily. Okay. And now the mother was not ready to pick a taxi or a trolley car, but instead what she made is she asked the child to walk with her. It took around how long it will take? Half an hour for them to walk and reach their home. It's not a very short distance then, right? It was a small boy also. He was only 8 now. Now we'll continue. My grandmother said, let him sit in that chair and rest for a while. After all, he has had an operation. So I sat near her and she covered one of my hands in both of hers and said, that won't be the last time you will go to the doctor, and with a bit of luck, they won't do you too much harm. Okay, listen. Now, when he reached the home, grandmother just asked the mother to make him sit in a chair and asked her to give some relaxation, rest to him. And then grandmother, when the boy sat near grandmother, she just kept one of his hands and kept it inside both her hands, just like showing her love and care. And then she said, please don't be afraid. This is not the first and last time that you are going to consult a doctor. In future also you will have to go, and even in the previous times also you were getting chances to consult doctors. But this time you were really lucky that you did not get any harm. Now the grandma also was really happy about it. Now there ends that paragraph actually. Now we'll go for the last paragraph of this lesson. I'm going to read it, okay? Listen to me. That was in 1924 when talking out a child's tonsils as well as adenoids without any anesthetic was common. I wonder what you would think of a doctor did that to you today. Now listen, the time when it happened was actually 1924. What is the time now? It is 2020 and it was 96 years before the time. It was long back, and at that time surgery was conducted just without giving anesthetic. What is anesthetic? Giving anesthesia. What is anesthesia actually? What is the spelling of anesthetic? A-N-A-E-S-T-H-E-T-I-C. Anesthetic. Okay. What is the meaning of that, giving anesthesia? What is the purpose of giving anesthesia? Before going for a surgery, the doctor wants the patient to be unconscious so that he will not understand, he will not know the pain, isn't it? Till the effect of anesthesia is over, the patient will not understand, will not feel the pain. That is the purpose of giving anesthesia to the patients before surgery. But this happened even before the time when anesthetic medicines were invented. Now that is why the doctor did a surgery directly to the body without giving any anesthetics medicines into the boy, right? The boy was kept on the table and was simply asked to open his mouth, isn't it? And the blade was put into his mouth and just scalded it for 4 or 5 times. Automatically what happened? Blood and flesh came out of his mouth. All those things happened without giving any anesthetic medicine. The doctor did so. It was so long back that the anesthetic medicines were not invented or used common. Not invented actually, but was not used common by the doctors. And then the narrator has a question to you. What will be your reaction if a doctor in this time, in 2020, if a doctor did it like this, what this doctor did to this small boy, what will be your reaction? Will you agree with such a surgery going on without giving any anesthetic medicine? I don't think it will happen, because even when we are going to a dentist and when we are going to get our teeth plucked because of damage, decays, and at that time also the doctor will give us a dose of injection and anesthetic medicine will be given on the spot after 10 minutes or something like that. When the anesthesia is completely working on our part only, the doctor will come and start working on the teeth. Then only the damaged teeth will be plucked from our body. Otherwise the doctor will not do it directly. He will not make us to have that pain in our body. That's the reality. Now think about a condition. If you have a tonsil on your throat, what will happen? The doctor will give you anesthesia first and then will remove it. That's what is the thing. But what happened to the little boy when he was 8 only? Automatically there was anesthetic medicines were not very commonly used during his time. So the doctor did it directly into the body without giving any anesthetic medicines. Now the time changed and we are really scared of facing a doctor without getting an anesthetic medicine for a surgery. That's all about the chapter. Now what is the message of this? Did you find any message conveyed according to the situation? We will adjust. During that time in 1924, the anesthetic medicine was not very common. So the mother was not scared that the child will be getting pain, right? He will be getting pain. That's quite natural only. Whatever is the surgery going on, the surgery will give us pain. That's truth actually. And the mother was agreeing that he will have to suffer that pain. There was no other way, because anesthetic medicines were not common there. So all those things were there, but recently in 2020, it's not possible for a mother or whoever it is, even the doctor will not permit a patient to undergo a surgery without getting anesthesia. That's what. Now Patients also will not accept it. That's all about the lesson. The lesson says that according to the present situation, the technology developed in the present situation, people will adjust and will cooperate with it. They will go for good technology, that's right, but at the same time they will be ready to adjust with the present situation also. During 1924, people might never have thought about anesthetic medicines used commonly as in the present condition, right? Now we will go for the exercise. Hope you have the textbook. Now read those exercises. The first one is a true or false exercise. Here you have 8 questions, and then all the 8 questions, there are some boxes just nearby all the 8 questions. You have to write either T or F to show whether the statements given here are true or false. And when I am going with the interaction session also, I will be sharing it with you. And then the next question is to arrange the words. Actually, there are 6 sentences given here. All the 6 sentences together will make the summary of the lesson, a visit to the doctor. Okay, and this one is not in the right order. That's what is the problem. And the first one has been done for you. The second sentence will come as the beginning of the summary. The other sentences you have to make in the correct order and write the number here in the dotted lines, right? You have to arrange all the sentences. You have to find out which is the second sentence and write number 2 there, and the third sentence and write number 3 there. The fourth sentence you have to find from here and write number 4 there, and the fifth sentence you have to find out and write 5, and at last the number 6 also you have to write for the last sentence, right? That you have to do. And then comes the next one. This is actually to identify the characteristic of each character, the approach of each character towards the little boy. Okay, here you have the doctor, the nurse, the mother and the grandmother. All the 4 characters are given here. The first one, the doctor's approach towards the boy, is very clearly given here. It is sympathetic but business-like. Now, what is the speciality of the nurse? Here you have to write there in the second box, and the third box you have to write and fill the specialities of mother, the approach of mother towards the child, and in the last box you have to write the approach of grandmother. Okay, and then comes the next question, question number D. That number D, here comes question number D. This states that in the last paragraph, here in the lesson, in the last paragraph, the year is mentioned very clearly as 1924. Hope you do remember. Those who have read the lesson will very clearly understand it. This year is given there in that last passage. Have you ever seen any other poems mentioning that this story happened long back? Have you ever seen such a thing? Yes, of course, the term trolley car. That's not very common in the present time. Do you know a trolley car? Have you ever seen a trolley car in our present time? It's not at all seen in the Kerala. You can see it in some other remote areas like in Bihar and Bengal. And what we will say is that's also not very common actually, because even in those areas also we can see the autos and other taxis playing through the roads and picking the passengers, and even the buses are there. On the metro cities we can see the metro trains also, and other places we can see the normal trains running, and all those facilities are available. But during 1924 we can imagine they were not having that much of transport facility. And the term trolley car also says about such a long back period. And there are a lot of other expressions which mentions that this story happened a long back. You have to pick them out and explain them how it mentions about a long back time. Make it as a paragraph. That's all about that question, question number D. Okay, hope you understood the lesson. If you have any doubt, you can ask me during the interactions time, and all these exercises I am sharing here. Okay, those who have the text, make sure that you are doing it in the text itself. Others, but question number D you must do in your notebook, because this is to prepare a paragraph, and other works you can do in the text itself. And make sure that you are completing all these works. If you have any doubts, you can ask me when we are going for the interaction session, right? Hope you understood the lesson very well. Next class we will go with the grammar part of this lesson. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.